What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the RP Experience. I'm your host, Andrew Regenhard, and with Southwest Florida Real Producers. And today, we're going to be talking with Brian Rigsby, one of our top producing agents here in Southwest Florida. Brian, it's great to have you on. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's just great to be here.
Love it, love it. Brian, you grew up in Southern Illinois, and before getting into real estate, you'd spent about 20 years in the golf industry. So we're definitely going to be talking about that today. It wasn't until about 6 years ago when you decided to move from North Carolina down to Southwest Florida with your wife and your daughter to really focus on your real estate career. He started the Rigsby team at Premier Plus Realty, has been representing a lot of buyers and sellers, especially within the community of the Renaissance, which we're going to be talking about here momentarily. So big topics today is golf, real estate, and more golf. So let's dive in.
Absolutely. We're so happy to be back down here. Fantastic.
I don't know. Why'd you ever leave, right?
I still try to figure that out.
When I interview the agents and the agents are like, yeah, I was born and raised here, and then I left. And I'm like, yeah, you're back here, right? They always come back, right? And they say that everyone leaves for a little bit thinking the grass is greener, right? And then they come back.
Absolutely.
It'll be better. So, well, cool. So get us up to speed. I've actually had the pleasure of playing golf with you before, and let's just say it was a humbling experience. So you're pretty good at golf. Give us the backstory of how you got involved in golf.
Well, I started, I was about 4 years old, and my grandfather got me into playing. And my dad was working, and my grandfather really got me into playing and enjoying the game, and I'd go out with my cousin and we would really get after it. We had a 9-hole golf course. I grew up in a town of 450 people in the middle of nowhere in Southern Illinois. So we would jump on a golf cart, drive out to the golf course and play 9 holes or 18 or 27 and then come home. So nice. It was fun growing up in that area. And another area, with it being so small, it was another way of me wanting to get away and down here. So that brought me through my travels. I went through high school, and then after that, my parents had a place in South Florida, and I moved down, and it's kind of history. So I wanted to get in the golf business and actually wanted to play, but realized real quickly that I wasn't good enough to play. So I got into the club business.
What level, though? You were playing pretty aggressively, weren't you, for a while?
I played pretty well. I would play in section events and chapter events, and I would play okay.
Yeah,
but not to the level of the guys that you're going to see on TV. So it was fun. It brought me to where I am today, and it's been very, I guess, enlightening in the way everything's gone.
That's so cool. The guys on TV, they're just a different breed. They're different animals, right?
Absolutely.
It's pretty sad when I watch them play that, and I go, why can't I just make the ball go over there and do what they do, right? That's a lot of practice.
Absolutely.
A lot of practice. As my dad always said, practice makes perfect, and let's just say that was a ton of practice because now it's perfect. So how'd you transition from a player to more management roles within the golf community?
So I started out at the club at Renaissance. So actually my very first job in the business was at Stony Brook. I was at a public facility for a few years, and then I was one of the first golf professionals at Renaissance. And I was an assistant working under David Kent, he was our director of golf at that point in time. And I was first assistant / head professional. We kind of had that type of role. So I managed a lot of the guys there and really enjoyed it. So I wanted to do something special, teaching and whatnot. So
you're kind of seeing the operations, which now has led to obviously now your current role as being one of the owners at the Renaissance, right, is probably helped you out tremendously.
For sure. Interesting. My stint up in North Carolina was pretty amazing as well.
Okay.
So that has led me to do some amazing things and come back down here. So learning from different areas and being at a golf club up there and being at a golf club down here, and how to marry those two and take the best of both worlds and put them together.
So give us the overview quick of the Renaissance.
So the club at Renaissance we have 386 front doors. a residential community with an amazing 18-hole facility. So it's I consider it a golf club with amazing amenities. But Arthur Hills built the golf course, and back in the beginning, the owners of the club, they really gave him free reign to do what he wanted. So he had 500 acres to put an 18-hole facility on, and he used a lot of it. So originally they were slated to put around 500 front doors, and now we were left with 386 after he used most of it for the golf course, which was pretty spectacular. So you have like 11, 12, 13, 14, you get out there, and there's no homes on that portion of the golf course, so you really feel like you're in a golf club. But the place in general, it's more of a boutique. We have pretty amazing amenities. Since we've been there, we've added bocce and pickleball. We have 6 red clay tennis courts. We have a teaching facility. Bobby Clampett's there, so it's a state-of-the-art teaching facility with TrackMan and Foresight and swing catalysts, pressure plates, and a sand putt lab. So it's a neat,
it's got the
neat
tech.
place.
That's awesome.
Absolutely.
That training facility and how the doors open. Oh, that's so cool. And you're shooting or hitting right onto the practice range. Like that is when I first saw that, I was just like jaw dropped. I was like, this is sick.
Absolutely.
So, one of the cool things that I've kind of overheard that sets you guys apart is the no assessments. Can you kind of explain what that means to someone that is not part of a club or maybe looking to get into a club and the difference of that? And because most people are shocked when they hear that.
Absolutely. So at most clubs, it's member owned, and you have a facility to where the members own it, they pay their dues, and if they have a shortfall at the end of the year or whatnot, then they're going to send out an assessment. Or if they're going to do improvements to the club, so if they have a golf course remodel, or they're adding on to the club, or they're redoing the dining room, they're going to assess the members by a certain dollar amount to take care of that and split it up over however many members are there. And what we do at Renaissance, we own it privately. So myself and Rodney and Jeff, we own it. So Jeff Dara and Rodney Poole are my partners and amazing guys. And Jeff was one of the original developers. So just to kind of explain the situation. So having that private ownership, there's no voting rights for the members that are there, but they also don't have to get an assessment if we do improvements. So we spent millions of dollars on the golf course, building a pool pavilion and redoing the pool and a play area for the kids and the teaching facility and the bocce and the pickleball and redoing the golf course. And I mean, from top to bottom, we did brand new Bemini Bermuda grass, new Tiff Eagle greens, added a bunch of tee boxes, stretched it out for a tour player to play more or less. It's 72-48 from the back tees. And then we added 5 new forward tees for the ladies. So it's 46-60, I think, from up front. So it's a very playable golf course for the ladies, and then added an 18-hole integrated par 3 course too. So
that's so cool.
Good for the families. And
that integrated 3 is, I don't know, that's just so cool. I mean, I remember you had maybe mentioned it, but I didn't understand it. And then you pointed it out one time. You're like, hey, look back over there. And I'm like, how is that a tee box? But I've never seen one. Like I never saw one throughout playing, and we were on like hole 5 or whatever. And, they're all hidden away, and that, right. I thought that was really interesting. And I've heard some things that you guys do and some different, fun events that you guys incorporate those. So
absolutely.
Pretty cool. So obviously involved in golf, it's been a passion of yours, and then you transitioned to real estate. What do you think the biggest crossover from golf to real estate is? If you were, in a couple words or a couple statements, what do you think the biggest commonality between the two?
I think it's all about relationships in both businesses and customer service. So being in the golf business and taking care of people and learning throughout that has really kind of catapulted me through my career. And my wife always says, you spent 20 years in the golf business to create all your relationships to do well in real estate. Mm-hmm. So it's been pretty cool to have that opportunity. But I would say that those are really 2 things, are relationships and customer service.
I think you're lucky that you have the best office in regards to most realtors, right? Like you're always at the course. Am I wrong?
I'm there a lot.
So most would say you're playing all the time. Is that right?
No, unfortunately, I would love to, but unfortunately, I'm not.
Okay.
I spend a ton of time there, and I'm around the members a lot. I'm very passionate about the club, and I'm passionate about the real estate at the club as well. So it's growing. Everything's growing around us. I mean, I live in Naples, and a lot of the members ask me, well, not the members, new people coming in, they'll ask, do you live here? And I say, well, I live here. I just don't sleep here. So it's it's a pretty cool place, but we do real estate both in Naples and Collier County and in Lee County. So I'm doing a lot in Renaissance and a lot in Collier County as well. So we live kind of in the middle.
Yeah,
so
that's perfect.
It's fun.
You're always there. You're just not playing. You're working.
That's right.
And it's funny because you're like, oh, I'm taking care of my members. But the thing is, yes, they are your members because you're obviously the owner of the golf club, right? So they are your members, but then at the same time, you're clients. So you're like, well, they're my members, my clients, and I want to play with them. I want to play golf and I want to hang out. They're my friend. Like there's so many, right? There's a lot of hats, I guess, in that sense that you take one off, put one back on. So, well, you got to get out and play more, right?
For sure. For sure.
So, I mean, use that as an excuse, right? Be like, hey, we have to play because I have to work on that, but also we need to, strengthen our relationship, to your clients. So
that's right.
Perfect. So, well, cool. Well, I will attest. I've been out there. You guys, have done an amazing job. First of all, like just all the remodels and different things you guys have done. It's beautiful. The course is really good. Now, I have not played at a ton of courses, and if you get me out, I definitely am not the perfect player in the sense. I make my divots and different and whatnot. I'll patch them though, Brian. Don't worry. But yeah, it's a beautiful course. It's so much fun. It's easy to play, but it is a humbling course, and I like that too. It challenges you, so it's a good balance, I think. So, well, good. I want to move into some really engaging questions here today. There are 3 questions that we have the opportunity to ask each and every single person on the podcast now, and you guys already heard it a couple times. But the first question here: how has a failure or an apparent failure set you up, for later success? And do you have a favorite failure of yours?
I think a favorite failure of mine, if we can consider it that, was moving to North Carolina, and I wouldn't say moving up there is the failure, but the failure would be I moved from a position of what I would consider a higher position at a club. Mm-hmm. So I was running part of the golf operation at Renaissance. And we moved to North Carolina, and there was a club called Old Chatham, and I wanted to be there. But at that point in time, there wasn't an opportunity for me to go there to be more or less a head professional or a first assistant, somewhere to start out. So when I moved, I went and talked to my mentor, Bill Cox, and he's good friends with Bob Ford, and then John Marino, the director of operations, he worked for Bob Ford, and we set up a meeting more or less, and I got to go talk to John, and I told him I wanted to be there, and he said, well, just come and let's see what happens. So I caddied, I worked in the locker room, I worked outside, and I built tons of amazing relationships, and finally worked my way up to being the head professional at the club. Right. So John's the director of operations and running the facility, and I was more or less second in charge in the golf operation and running the club. So it was. Yeah. It was pretty cool that allowed me to really kind of catapult my career up there and learn so much. So I think that helped me learn and be a bit more humble, because you're coming from a situation that, I feel like I'm doing great, and then Natasha's sister would always tell you're starting on a lower rung of a higher ladder. Right. So it's pretty cool to be able to take that and then be able to marry that back with this club here. Yeah. So.
And everyone would usually look at a situation like that and say, oh, I went from this position or, this pay or whatever, this structure down to this. And they'd say, that is a failure, or that is a setback, or whatever you might look at it, or however you might look at it is a better way to say it. But, there's so much more opportunities maybe at this other place, and not just financially. I think that's something in this world that people are really focused on. They're like, well, what's the exact financial gain? And a lot of the times, and a lot of the people that I've been able to interview outside of the podcast or on the podcast, is that they're like, I gained all the wealth of knowledge. I gained the experience. I didn't gain financial, I didn't make financial gains. I gained all those other things that led to me now gaining in a financial way, right? Really 100%. Actually making the money now. But it's because they have the expertise and they have the experience and they have the relationships. that doesn't come free either, right?
Right. Absolutely.
You can't have all of it, right? You can't, what is it, eat the pie or cut the pie or whatever, eat it all. I don't remember the analogy, but it's like you can't have it all, all right? You got to, either if you want all the experience and the relationships, you're probably going to have to take a little bit of a pay cut, right?
For sure.
Or vice versa, right? So it's interesting. So great perspective on it. When you feel overwhelmed or let's say unfocused or have a loss of your own focus temporarily, what do you do? And you can't say go play golf.
Right. I'd like to say that. I make goals, so I always go back and look at the goals that we've tried to create, and I look at them with my wife. So my wife and my father, and we have a coach in real estate. So those would be the three people that I would lean on. So I've always had someone in my life, like Bill Cox was my mentor in golf and teaching me how to play and how to be a good golf professional. Well, we have a coach in Carrie and working with her, but it's always back to Natasha and talking to her and even coming down here today, I'm talking about things with her, just trying to figure out what's the best to do in different scenarios and different deals, and it's fun. So I mean, we can lean on each other.
Yeah.
So I lean on her probably a lot more than she leans on me. So it's
we
great.
need those people, right?
Absolutely.
100%. What are bad recommendations / advice you hear in your industry? It may be towards buyers or sellers. It might be towards other realtors, but just in your industry that you believe might be a bad recommendation or advice.
I don't know if I would say this is a bad recommendation, but I mean, with the way that this market is right now, it's so hot and properties are maybe a little easier to sell. And one thing that I see is there's cell phone pictures being taken of homes, and I feel like that you're having a situation where people aren't keeping up with brands and whatnot. So I try to stay the course and do everything the same way.
Pun intended, guys. Just kidding.
So keeping everything the same, trying to stick with it as if, I mean, I might take pictures, I might do the best videos, I might do all of those things, but at the end of the day, the house might be sold before we ever get that back. Yeah. But I still have it, and we're still trying to create that and doing that the same way.
You're not going to cut corners, what you're saying, right?
Right.
Like you're actually going to stay the path, right? And you're going to do what you said you're going to do. Just because it might sell, you want to say, oh, well, I could save a little bit of money on my marketing package or whatever. Right. Let's just do the cheaper route. It's like, no, you're now doing a disservice to your clients, right?
For sure. This market's not going to be like this forever. I hope it is. But it's,
we all hope, right?
Things ebb and flow. So it'll change at some point. But I think that right now that would probably be the main thing that I would say.
Yeah, well, that's good. And I think we could apply that to real estate, obviously, but we really could apply that to anything, right? When things get tough, right? You should stay the course. You should remember what you were taught and instilled in, and stick to it. And when it gets easy, you should do the same thing, right? Right. So that you keep even keel.
Absolutely.
Every single time. So, well, it's pretty shocking that we're already running out of time here. But Brian, I just wanted to say, thank you so much again for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure talking with you.
Thank you so much for having me. This is fantastic. What a great place to come to.
Awesome. Well, as always, the RP Experience is extremely thrilled to have you on here. We're here at Venture X in the podcast room. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for the next episode. Thank you, guys. We'll see you soon.